that they have lost or loses when they have lost, but more than a conqueror gains even when you have lost.
Amen.
Listen, is there anyone who's single in here? Since this is Love Week. Single. Right? Okay. I saw some of you married. I want to encourage you. The reason why God allowed you to break up with that hottie, with that girl, with that guy, whom you thought and deemed was the right one for you, the reason why He allowed you to break up or sever that relationship with that individual is because of the fact that God is doing you a great favor. Why? Because had you held on to that relationship, you would not be able to experience and you will not be able to, receive the next best permanent, and I want to underscore permanent person that God would have for you. Amen. I'm so glad that all of the relationships prior to me marrying to Sister Zenia did not work out. Although at that time I felt like I lost. Although at that time I was like, oh Lord, oh, my heart is broken. Oh my God, I'm not going to get married anymore. I'm tired of being a broken heart. I'm tired of being dumped on. I feel like a loser. No. God is saying the reason why I allowed that in your life is because I have someone better for you. You may not see her in the horizon, but all you would have to do is trust in me with all of your heart and acknowledge me in all of your ways, and I will straighten everything in your past, in your present, and even in your future. And the moment when I was just focused on the Lord, the moment when I was just faithful in everything that He wanted me to do, and the moment that I was fruitful in everything that God has commanded me to do, next thing you know, all of a sudden God just showed up from wherever He shows up from. And God says, it is not right for Freddie to be alone. Because the next assignment that I would have for him, in addition to tending the garden and naming the animals. Yes, we were doing that in the Young Adults Bible Study. We had some animals in the Young Adults Bible Study. We were naming them. I'm just kidding. When I was doing all of that, God says, the next assignment that I would have for you, you cannot do it alone. I'm going to provide for you a partner. He didn't say a maid. He didn't say an utusan. But a partner who will be able to complement your strengths and weaknesses so that together you can do more for God and His kingdom. Amen. And so you thought that you lost in that one dimension or that one aspect, not knowing that God has something better for you. I remember when we got married, we had this house that we were eyeing on. How many of you know that when you buy a house, you get emotional? By the way, 98% of your decision while you're buying is all emotions. The reason why you got that 14th pair of shoes is not because you need another pair of shoes. Because you said, wow, something jumped up on the inside of you and said, wow, I gotta get these boots. So anyway, there was this one house that we were set on, our hearts were set on, and it was just perfect. It was 3 levels, right? We were saying, oh, we're gonna have we're gonna have the TV in the basement. We're gonna whatever, right? I mean, we were just so set. And then, just to make a long story short, the realtor basically, just demanded fees from us, and we weren't approved because, hey, I'm a transparent pastor. Because of the fact that, by the way, ladies, gentlemen, if you are single, the reason why you are waiting a little bit longer is because of the fact that God is completing you first before pairing and partnering you with another person who's also complete as well. The moment that God will put 2 halves together, the tendency is that you will be dependent with one another instead of being dependent on Christ. But God wants you to be complete in spirit, soul, and body, and even finances as well. And I remember at that time, I was actually, I was a co-signer with someone who filed for bankruptcy. I didn't file for bankruptcy, but that bankruptcy stays on you. And if you're bankrupt, or not bankrupt, or if you file for bankruptcy, anyone that you marry also mirrors that bankruptcy as well. And so, you know that, after so many years, that you can be released from that. And so, we were not approved because they were seeing that in, and so our hearts sunk. Because he said, you know what, we lost. But God is saying, no, you didn't lose. Because I have something better for you.
Amen.
So I said, baby, I don't know a lot of things, but one thing that I do know is that when 2 or 3 agree, as we touch here on earth, it shall be done. I can imagine we could have just said, you know what, forget it. It's a waste of time. Maybe this is really not for us. Maybe the Lord is telling us to be humble and just settle for an apartment. But we were in the front seat of the car, and I said, you know what, we're going to believe God right here. That I believe that God is true to His word, that if He said that we're going to have a house, we're going to have a house. And so, without missing a beat, we locked hands, we agreed, God, you said in Mark 11, 22, 23, 24, if we say unto Him, every mountain, every obstacle, be thou removed, be cast into the sea, but do not doubt those things that you have said in your heart, it shall be done. And then later on, you know, God sends a realtor, God sends a new mortgage company, and the next thing you know, God leads us to this house in Colby Drive, and I remember Sister Rosalie was a part of what God did in that house, because God started a Bible study fresh in that house. So many people were saved in that house. There was a couple, and I believe that you remember, Josh and the other guy. They wanted to have a baby for 6 or 7 years. Could not have a baby. She was actually close to, you know, not having a child because of her age. But we believe that God is a God of miracles. We believe that God, who said, go forth and multiply. We believe that a God who does not want you to be barren in your womb. And so, you know what? What happened is that when they came and when they heard the word of the Lord, and we, you know, confessed the word of the Lord, that you shall have a baby. They had a baby, and we saw many miracles. Why? Because just when you thought that when you lost that house, God has a better house for you that is fit for the kingdom. It is not because of what you want, but because of what He wants and what He wills. And when you begin to trust in God, that you are more than a conqueror, that whenever you lose, you're not actually losing, but God is just causing you to wait. Because I want you to know that a delay is not a denial. A delay is just basically a time and a season that God is molding you and conforming you, your character. So when God is about to give you the next big thing that He would have for you, you will not spoil. You will not be spoiled in the receiving end, but you will be ready to receive the wonderful thing that God has for you. The setback can actually be a setup for a comeback. Just because you lost does not necessarily mean that you win. I don't know if you remember, over 15 years ago, Filipino Christian Center had a basketball team. And Brother Russell, I think you were part of that before, right? Or hopefully you're proud to be a part of that. Anyway, I was the spiritual advisor of that basketball team. You know what that means? Being a spiritual advisor of that basketball team, meaning that you're not good enough to be a coach, and you're not good enough to be a player. But there's a stipulation: you can play if the team is ahead 20 points. So watch this. Watch this. So really, there was actually one game. We were ahead like 70, and the other team was 50. There was 1 minute left in the game. 1 minute left in the game. Brother Freddie! So I played. I was hot. I was warmed up, watching us win. And so, even though that I may attempt to impress the people who are watching us, to shoot from the three-point line, right? Three-point line. And if I shoot, and it was an air ball, I feel such a loser, such a dork, and there's only 45 seconds left in the game, we are still more than a conqueror.
Amen.
Let's just say there were 30 seconds left in the game, and for some strange reason they passed the ball to me, and I happened to pass the ball to the opposing team and feel such a loser. Listen, because of the fact that we are 70 points ahead and there are 50 points, we are still more than a conqueror.